Hello, everyone. My name is Aaron Smith, and I'm the UK's Dyslexia and SEND consultant for Microsoft. And my role is all about delivering accessibility into education. Now, for those that are live with us now, we're going to bring up in a second a QR code. I am going to want to make sure this is accessible for everyone. Please use the QR code. It basically enables something called PowerPoint Live. It gives you that opportunity. So if you want to scan the QR code, please do that when it appears, and this will get live captions. This will not work for those recording. So a QR code is going to appear any second now. So please scan the QR code if you want to. This will give you live captions uh, to your to what we're doing today. So just scan the QR code if you want to. Then we'll start the recording. Get your camera open. You'll get the camera. That's brilliant. You can see some people now scanning it. It's really good. It's just to make sure we're all accessible. I'm just going to scan it as well. As I said, it's only available for those that are not watching the recording. So that's good. Got a good number of you in, so that's very useful. So welcome to today's session. As I said, my name is Aaron Smith. I am the UK's Dyslexia and SEND consultant, and this is one of 4 webinars and also a 5th webinar that we'll talk about in a second, all about supporting areas of using Microsoft and accessibility. This is the list of webinars we're doing. So today we're doing Microsoft and dyslexia. We're going to talk a bit about Microsoft, a bit about me, and a bit about the journey of Microsoft. We're also then going to talk about what we're going to talk about for the rest of the week, talk about reading, talking about writing, and of course, reading progress, which will take place on Friday. On Wednesday at 12:30, you have lunch with Aaron. This is an open session. Anyone can join it. You don't have to join it for the whole session. That 1.5 hours where you can come in and have a conversation with me. So do check that out. That one won't be recorded, but all of the sessions will be recorded. So whenever I start a session though about Microsoft and about talking about accessibility, disability, dyslexia, I always start with this. If you've heard me before, you may have heard this, but this is a 30-minute or about 20-minute session where we can have a conversation just about grounding ourselves. As it's Dyslexia Week and it's Dyslexia Awareness Month, we want to offer awareness around how we support people with dyslexia. Now, when you look at this mission, where it says at Microsoft, our mission is to empower every person in every organization on the planet to achieve more, I think we can really understand that this mission actually really identifies what Microsoft is doing in the areas of accessibility, disability, but probably in other areas like gender, sexuality, race, and many more areas of inclusion and sustainability. Because to me, empowering every person, every organisation is what we're here to do. Now, this comes back from the 4th of October. No, it's not the 4th of February 2014. Now, that date was a really important date for me because my daughter was born. But actually, for Microsoft, it was a very important date when this gentleman, Satya Nadella, became CEO. Now, Satya came into Microsoft. He's been worked for Microsoft for over 20 years. He came in and he said that we need to be a cloud first, mobile first company, and we needed to prioritize things. And accessibility was one of his priorities. So he tweeted this a couple of years ago. It says that accessibility is a Microsoft priority. We focus on designing building products that our customers love, that are accessible for everyone and built for each of us. Now, when we look at the rest of the week and the rest of the videos or webinars that you're going to watch, you'll actually see that we're going to build on that because actually all the technology which is available in Microsoft is built in. If it's dictation, if it's text to speech, speech to text, if it's adding in Teams integration, if it's added in automation, all these things are built in that can all be used for accessibility and, of course, those with disability and including dyslexia. Now, for those who don't know who I am, as I said, I'm Aaron Smith. I'm a vendor for Microsoft, and my role within Microsoft is all about delivering accessibility. Why am I doing it? Well, I'm doing it because I am severely dyslexic myself. Now, I look at the British Dyslexia Association title uh, called Invisible Dyslexia, and it's a very interesting title for me because it means two things to me. It means that, yes, we know dyslexia can be invisible, it's not very accessible for everyone, but also we can hope that we can use it in many ways and look at it in many other ways as well. And actually, we should talk about it more and make it not be invisible. Now, I was diagnosed of being dyslexic at age 9, and I definitely had that stress and anxiety. I say now I'm a severely dyslexic adult with a reading age of a 9-year-old and a spelling age of an 8-year-old, and I have no automatic reading capabilities. Now, I've got three screens in front of me. The screen that I'm looking at here has got all the round faces with everyone's name in it, and I've just got letters. Now, trying to decode some of your surnames isn't something I'm going to attempt to do. I'm not going to read them out, of course, because we're recording the session, but it's really hard for me to do that. Now, my dyslexia, as I said, started my journey when I was age 9. And age 9 was definitely an interesting time. That feeling of stress and anxiety was there. I never understood why my sister, who's 3 years younger than me, could read better than me, why I was being picked on for not knowing what 1 times 1 was. Also, being told I would never amount to anything in my high school because I couldn't read was really stressful for me. I was very, very, very disillusioned with this dyslexia word. But it wasn't until my parents took me to my local dyslexia association and my Senko in my upper school really supported me. They really changed my outlook on dyslexia and my knowledge of dyslexia. And I now see dyslexia as my strength. I did leave school with 5 GCSEs. I also had I did an A level, a GMVQ in IT. Now moving forward into working life, I worked as a youth worker for 2.5 years. I then I got made redundant, and I started a job as a labourer on a building site, pushing a wheelbarrow. As a dyspraxic, that was quite hilarious. I then started working for a large retail organisation that didn't understand that dyslexia exists. And about 10 years ago, I actually started working for the British Dyslexia Association. And another big change in my life, an actual career, not having a degree, not having them kind of concepts that people say that you need to have to get a career. I started that career in the dyslexia world. I worked at the BDA for 5.5 years, and 2016, unfortunately, I got made redundant. Going forward, in 2016, I actually I founded the Sen Group, which is my first company I created, which is a company that delivers CPD to teachers. I then created the LVA Group, which now works for Microsoft as the vendor company. Also works with Dyslexia Box and many other things. In 2019, I founded the Dyslexia Show, the UK's first national exhibition. 2020, I founded Sen Group International that delivers CPD into India, and in 2021, me and my wife uh, s- bought Read Successfully Limited, which is the home of Trugs, the teaching reading through games product for supporting people with literacy difficulties using phonics. And these are things that I have to say. Now, of course, there I had that dyslexia moment where I'd forgotten what I wanted to say and I knew what I wanted to say but couldn't get it out my mouth. Normally, I have that when I'm really tired. It's called rapid naming, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I think that actually, when that secondary school teacher told me I'd never amount to anything, you should all understand that I have amounted. Now, Microsoft as an organization is definitely passionate about accessibility. But actually, before we look at that, let's just understand dyslexia. And I wanted to just do this basic 3-slide PowerPoint, just talk about dyslexia. Because it is Dyslexia Awareness Week, or Dyslexia Week is Dyslexia Awareness Month, we often say that lots of people, when I say to them, what is dyslexia? They say, oh, it's just about reading. And dyslexia is not just about reading, it's often about spelling, and of course, it can be about writing. Of course, we know that then it's also about time management. Understanding time. I still can't tell the time from half past to quarter to. I don't know if it's 22, 20 past, 25 past, 25 minutes to, 35 minutes to. It's just so confusing. That's why I don't use 24-hour clock. I use a 12-hour clock on my phone or on my wrist. I'm not wearing it today, of course. But time management is one of the things we have to think about. That concept of working memory as well, where students have that difficulty of remembering things or processing different things. Working memory is that concept, and that concept of memory is a really interesting concept for me. And for me, it's all about thinking outside the box a little bit when we're talking to our students and even our children at home if we have dyslexia at home. Don't give them too many instructions. We've got to kind of manage that instruction concept. And then that concept of organizational techniques and organization as a concept. On my desk, I have my laptop with my that's doing this webinar and this recording. I have my other computer here. I have my iPad. I have my phone. I have my office phone. I have another mobile phone under there. Probably a little bit too much stuff here to distract me. But actually, for me, I like that kind of distraction as well. I need to turn my phone over because people keep WhatsApping me and keep tweeting about me and stuff like that. But that's the thing there that we need to think about when it comes to organization. Now, of course, when we look at that concept also of dyslexia, of how that brain works and that lack of visual blueprint, the concept there of actually seeing words in our head, it's like when you say the word cat. Some of us will see that word in our head. We'll see the word CAT. We'll also go cat as we would do in phonics. But actually, some people will just see a picture. And this is this concept of actually seeing the word and being able to decode the word in spelling or decode the word in writing or reading. That visual confusion with words. This is where this concept of B's and D's and P's and Q's come in, because we do have the visual confusion. That inconsistency of words in our English language. There's what is it? It's 42 sounds for 26 letters in the 44 sounds for 26 letters in the alphabet in the English language, which is a huge concept when it comes to inconsistencies in words and sounds. Like the, they sound so similar. And words like Sam and was and saw, moving an M or a W upside down can be very confusing. And of course, we know it's a weak phonological skill. And it is a difference. It is a difference of the way we learn, a difference of the way that we understand. And these are things that we have to think about when we're teaching students with dyslexia. And this is where technology can really support some of these things, because we can do support where we can hear the sounds, hear the words, hear the letters. We can use multisensory techniques to support that. And as we go over this week, we will look at these features and we'll keep moving forward. Now, of course, can't talk about dyslexia without talking about the positive strengths. And this, for me, is kind of where it is. It is that concept that we are these visual learners. We visually see things, we visually do things. I use a presentation like this not because I need the words, it's because I use the word lateral thinking. The word lateral thinking, I know, okay, I can see things differently. I can see what you're going to say in that argument. I can see both sides of it. We have practical and problem solving. We can know that I can look at a problem and see it differently and go, actually, if we do this and this, and I can always go, oh, actually, that's a logical thing to do. And that's why, for me, using a PowerPoint is not about actually for your benefit as my people that are listening, my delegates. That's the word I was looking for. It's actually for me to kind of pull that idea out of my brain of what I wanted to say. It is. Being able to give me that big picture, that global thinker, being able to see outside the box and do things. It's good spatial awareness. Now, some people, of course, have dyspraxia, but it is kind of good that we know where we are going and we can see things. It is. Hopefully, by now, you can see that I can communicate verbally. I can talk to you. I can find different ways to communicate, of course. And of course, we do have a high level of motivation if we understand our differences. And that's probably one of the benefits of dyslexia is as soon as we understand where we're going and what we're doing, we then should be able to support our learners and also support each other. It's a really important skill that is about doing it. Now, going back to that Microsoft concept of where we are, Microsoft is wanted to promote independent learning. We wanted to support independent learners in many ways. Now, this is our first concept here, our first kind of stop there a bit here. And I'm just going to turn down my Alexa because what's going to happen is any second now, it's going to read out what's in my diary because after this I have another meeting and I forgot to turn it down. Again, another use of technology there. I have Microsoft 365, which is my calendar. It's linked to my Alexa. But you can ask me a question about that later. But coming back to this, independent learning. Good concept there about delivering and supporting people with additional needs. And I'm just going to ground you in this concept that Microsoft is really understanding and wanting to support people with additional needs. Now, if you want to find anything about any accessibility tools that Microsoft is doing, that web link that is on the screen, aka.ms/accessibilitysway, aka.ms/accessibilitysway, that link there is available for you to get access to all the tools and features that Microsoft is supporting with any difference or disability. Mainly it's in the headings you've got on the screen. So mental health, neurodiversity, mobility, hearing, visual, learning. Now I want to just mention a few things here. Microsoft is really supportive around all areas of accessibility and disability. We have tools, sorry, built into Microsoft 365 for anxiety and supporting with OCD to ensure that we are managing our time efficiently, to ensure that we are not overcompensating for what we need to do. We're hiring people with autism in the US. We have mobility. We have eye gaze built into Windows 10 and Windows 11, so you can use an eye gaze to actually control and move your mouse around. I have captions running on PowerPoint and on Teams. I have colorblind tools built into Windows 10 and Windows 11 to support with low vision and colorblind tools. I also then have the Learning Tools suite, which we're going to talk more about over the next few sessions over this week, looking at dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyspraxia, and dyscalculia, of course, and some of the tools and features that are available for people with different differences. But just going back to this concept, and I want you to just kind of bear with me for a second, it is. So I want you to think about something now. So hopefully you will know, and I want you just to ground you on mobility and where Microsoft is going. Now, hopefully you have found the chat. If you haven't found the chat, I've just put a hello in here. Hopefully some of you can find it. Hello. If you can't, don't worry about it. Some of you might be able to hear about it. But I want to say something to you, all of you, that Microsoft owns a product called Xbox. Xbox is a gaming product. It's a product all about gaming. Now, I want to ground you in this concept that actually gaming is probably one of the hardest things to be accessible. Well, it's not in one sense, because within the Xbox, we have something called Copilot. Copilot allows two of you to play one game under one character. So one of you can be the shooter and one of you can control it. So that really helps some way. But how do we get students or young people or even adults that have physical differences? So, say they've lost their thumbs or their arm, or they've got an injury, or they've been born where they haven't had the limbs that they need to do it because we need thumbs. These are things we need to do gaming. This is to ground you that Microsoft created the world's first accessible game controller. It allows anyone with a physical difference to game using lightweight joystick sensors and switches. It is fully accessible for our learners. It fully allows them to be accessible, to get involved, and actually use this technique. Now, what I'd like to do is if you can use the chat box, can you just put in the chat box how much you think this costs? So let me know how much you think this costs. So type in the chat box if you think it costs X number of pounds. I'm not going to read out anyone's names. I'm just going to say what people are saying. So we've got one person saying 55, another person saying 200, 299, 100. Let's see how many others we've got. It's why I need a gavel, 199. That's very interesting. We'll see if anyone else is going to type it in. 300. Okay, so there is a good match there of people going from very cheap to 55 all the way up to 300, which is a really interesting kind of concept. And I've been to schools where some people are saying 1,000, some people are saying 500, and some people are even saying it's free. It's not free. £74.99. £74.99. The most expensive Xbox controller is £74.99. That's better. It says it now on the captions. I said the wrong thing. Um, the most expensive controller is £120, and the cost-effective controller is around £35. So it's in the middle there. The sensors and switches are not made by Microsoft; they're made by other manufacturers. But it is a device that works on an Xbox. It works on a Windows 10 and Windows 11 device. It also works on an iPad, and it also works on a Switch. So it is an amazing tool that can really make things accessible. Now, going on from that is that Microsoft has kind of driven that concept of accessibility. So we created a product there. But when it came to dyslexia, back in 2015 is when we started this journey. And this journey was that actually the concept of visual crowding was something that people had an issue with. And these were some engineers in Microsoft that knew some dyslexics have difficulties with it. And they wanted to find ways to support that. They also knew that dyslexics do have difficulties with reading and decoding words when reading. So what happened was is actually we hacked the idea. So the idea of learning tools came from this idea from this hackathon in 2015, and it won the hackathon in 2015. And what that means is that students now have access to immersive reader in many products that we will talk about in our next sessions. Now, on top of that, only this year, so back in April this year, Microsoft actually announced that they're doubling down on accessibility. And that even came out even only a week ago. So Microsoft really wants to support people with accessibility. So I would search for this concept of doubling down on accessibility because it's an amazing article written by Brad Smith, the vice president and president and vice chair of Microsoft. It is an amazing concept to read about how we are dealing with accessibility across the company. Now, only a week ago, we announced brand new devices, new Surface devices. But we, on top of that, there was a whole area around accessibility uh, built into them products, or on them products, or for them products, by creating stickers and kind of sensory inputs to allow people with different disabilities to support using their Surface device, which is a really supportive concept it is. Now, over the week, we're going to look at our inclusive classroom message. We're going to look at reading. We're going to look at writing. We will mention maths and communication, and that's what we're going to talk about over the next few days. On top of that, you're going to find that if you follow me on Twitter, I'm going to tweet out some little YouTube videos that I would have done, some TikToks I'm going to do as well about these things. So don't worry if you've missed any of it, you will get the recordings. That's going to be something we're going to do. So, just to remind you how this week is going to go, because we're coming up to somewhere you can ask me some questions. We're going to go into more details of products from tomorrow onwards. So tomorrow at 4 p.m. we're going to look at Microsoft Dyslexia and reading. So that will be something we will look at and we'll go into detail of, and we'll actually show immersively. We'll demo it, talk about where it is and where you can find it. Then on Wednesday we've got what we call lunch with Aaron. So this is at lunchtime. This is an open free session for you to come to me. You click on the link that you've got registered for. You'll need to register for each one of them, and that will give you opportunities so you can ask me some questions. We'll take you off mute. It will be an open forum. It will not be recorded, but it will be for everyone to have a conversation about dyslexia, about technology, whatever you wanted to do. On the 7th, on World Dyslexia Day, we'll be talking more about writing. And of course, on Friday at 4 p.m., we'll talk about reading progress. So will want you to get involved in all of that. Now, of course, over the week, you can ask me any questions you like. You can follow me on Twitter at Aaron Dyslexia. We've talked today about what I wanted to talk about today was about Microsoft and dyslexia, where we've gone through what dyslexia is. And tomorrow we will go into it. It is a series of webinars, so they will build up on top of each other, and we will reference what we talked about in the previous session. So it's only a half an hour session. It's only a 30-minute session for you to talk to me about. We've got about 5 minutes left. So if anyone wants to ask me a question, do put your questions in the question box. Happy to answer some questions. I will not read anyone's name out. I will just read the question out because we are going to keep the recording going until the end of the session. And like I said, do go back, do check out the blog on the Send Group website or on Aaron Dyslexia to find the links for that. So I just knocked my microphone there, and by all means that. The other thing I do want to say is that if you do want me to come into your school or into your organization, if you're related to education, I can still do that. You just need to drop me an email on that email address. It's all free. It's a free session. It is. I can come in and do some awareness for your students, and it's really amazing for you. It is because you get all that support for free and driving accessibility in your education environment. So as we said, we've got about 3 minutes left. We'll wait about 3 minutes. Do ask me a question if you want to. If you want me to share that previous link, I can do. The QR code on the screen now will allow you to scan for the whole presentation. So if you want to download the whole presentation, by all means you can do that. It'll also download the reading progress presentation as well. So if you do want to get that before, do scan that QR code. It's very much appreciated. By all means, I'm here to listen, here to support. And of course, the session, of course, is all free and they will be recorded. So I can see some people typing to see if anyone else wants to ask a question. Just type it in the chat box. I've got a few people typing, so I'll just wait a few minutes. I will do. It's fine. Some people saying thank you. Not a problem, everyone that's saying thank you. It's really appreciated. It is. We'll wait for a few more questions to come in. If you want to leave now, by all means, there's no issue with that. Not a problem. Thank you very much. Lots of people saying thank you to me. Always happy to hear your thank yous. I'm here to support. I'm here to offer you that support. Of course, we've got more things coming up over the next couple of days. It's really appreciated for all of you coming in. Just keeping my eye on the chat box as well. People are asking me some questions or typing in the chat box. You can always put your hand up if you don't mind being recorded. And do that. The advance in accessibility that you have driven is awesome. Thanks, Aaron, for you giving your time freely to us. No, and that's most appreciated. Thank you very much. I'll read that again. The advance in accessibility that you've been driving are awesome. Thank you, Aaron, for giving us your time freely. I will be very honest and open that it's supported by Microsoft. So to you, it's free, and Microsoft want me to do it. So it is a really useful tool for all of us. So thank you very much, everyone. So we've got about 1 minute left, and then I'll stop the webinar. So we'll see that. So will the PowerPoint recordings be emailed to us sometime download? They will be appearing on YouTube, so you'll be able to get them. So we will send an email out probably at the end of the week with all the links in, or a week on Monday when we've got all the links updated and uploaded. But we will send the recordings to you. But if you do follow me on Twitter, you will see me probably post the video sooner on there than it will be anyway. So PowerPoint, you can download the PowerPoint from there. This PowerPoint isn't on there yet. It will be on there as soon as tomorrow morning. So just keep using that link. You'll see that there'll be some other PowerPoints appear every so often. So I'm going to bring this webinar to an end. Thank you everyone for listening, and we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 4 p.m. Take care. Cheers. Bye.